sinabi niya na, oh, di na
Wait lang guys, I need to just...
you're the visitor of a particular person, you stay within that bound. You don't just roam around kung saan mo gusto pumunta at kung sino dadalawin mo. So, kahit si Erwin, he called her out. Parang nagamit lang si Erwin na alam mo na nga may issue din sa flood control at alam mong nadamay na nga yung mga kausap mo tapos hindi mo pa binanggit sa kanya pinunta ka kay ibang tao on that day. So, it was a little bit suspicious. And syempre, tungtuwa si Jinggoy kasi nga parang kala niya nakalusot na siya eh. And ano, by the way, speaking of kung nakalusot o hindi, remember, yung flood control na na-insert ni Jinggoy has been confirmed by Lacson.
Right.
So, hindi pa siya talaga nakalusot dito. And later, sige, I'm gonna talk to you about, nga, bakit feeling niya nakalusot siya and ano ba talagang implications to kanyang mga statements.
Yeah, see, maybe we'll rewind a little bit, no, bago natin balikan din yung issue ng Speaker of the House later on because I have bigger concern. I mean, the topic of my this week was how the Philippines, maybe not Indonesia, but could get also a Brazil situation kung itong corruption scandal gets out of control and brings down everyone except Duterte's or something worse, right? But before we go there, I want to rewind a bit. Diba, nung pinaka-first hearing, overseen, tawagin na lang natin the Red Ribbon Committee, doon talaga nabuking ang mga Dutertes, di ba? When Bato, not once, but twice, he didn't even give himself a chance. Di ba? Tinanong na sa mga Diskaya, kailan ka talaga kayo nagsimula dito sa malaking flood control project? 2016, right? So I felt that hearing was a disaster for the Duterte side and whoever was trying to orchestrate things. But let's be honest, since then, it looks like things have changed. It looks like certain adjustments have been made. And then the trolls online, tawag ko na sa kanila, Diskaya diehard supporters. It looks like they're doing adjustments. And more than that, they're also attacking the House of Representatives. Whatever na lumalabas yan, parang gusto nila i-push back yan. And to make it look as if what's happening in the House of Representatives is not legitimate or politically motivated. Have you noticed that? Parang, hindi, in short, natututo rin natin DDS eh.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, na nakikita mo talaga yung push and pull dito between the two camps of BBM and the Dutertes to try to pin the blame on one or the other. Yun yung kailangan bantayan ng ating mga taong bayan, the viewers themselves. Kasi pag hindi kayo maingat dito, you may have an opinion that may not be based on what's the actual reality of who's really at fault here. So, just to give you guys a little bit of a primer, kung ano ba talaga yung nangyari dito, alalahanin natin that BBM did not have to do that SONA about the flood control corruption and then do a press con and then actually name the top 15 contractors and then say that he's going to do an investigation and then say na wala siyang isasanto. There could have been a different route kung talagang he didn't want to get to the bottom of this. I think he genuinely wants to get to the bottom of this, but I think his intentions are not as pure. But it doesn't matter what the intention as long as the result is the same. Maitigil na itong mga corruption. Kasi tingin ko din na kaya nagkagulo na sila, and I think maybe you might share the same opinion as me on this one, is after ng 2023, wala na, late 2023 to 2024, the unity team has separated ways. And siguro at this point, sabi ni Marcos, well, geez, ang dami nakinabang on my coattails. Ang daming corruption nangyari on my coattails. And the only reason siguro I turned a blind eye on it is because the Duterte siguro asked me, hey, listen, let mga kaalyado namin take advantage of this and, happy days are here again. So parang wala na siya. All bets are off. I'll expose everyone na. And even the people that are on my side is going to be exposed. So I think maybe nagkakonsensya na si Marcos. I don't know.
So we're going to go back then to the question I was asking about the situation with the Speaker of the House. Kasi I think first of all, with all the flooding and the president, the former SONA boasting about, I don't know, 1 trillion pesos or whatever, thousands of flood, I think it became just impossible for him to ignore the issue. Pangalawa, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, we can always debate about how pure anyone's intention can become once you're in politics, right? I think that no one has a pure intention in politics. Otherwise, you won't get into politics, or you cannot afford to have pure intentions in politics. There's always going to be some calculations there, diba? Kasi there's an enemy, there's a vulture out there. Pero feeling ko rin, I agree with you na Marcoses knowing the reputation of their father, the late regime. The last thing Marcos wants is on his watch also all sorts of shenanigans will happen, and then it will again fall on him. Will be used against him and his family, and what another second exile. But the third thing is, and this is where I'm saying, like, this is where things could actually get out of control. Again, I'm not into the less wisdom of taxi drivers analytic school of thought, but I'm hearing more and more people, ex-generals, ex-police folks, taxi drivers, a lot of people saying, baka naman mamaya magkakagulo talaga at people power. And for me, clearly if you're in the DDS camp, clearly if you're in the RevGov camp, you're smelling blood, right? I mean, indeed related, but I vividly remember yung State of the Nation address ni BBM. The star of the show was General Torre. Beaming behind him with a big smile was Speaker Romualdez. The other one was Boy Kilay. Sorry, si Chizo Escudero. They're all gone, bro. They're all gone from positions of power.
Yeah.
Torre is out. Cheese is out. Romualdez is out. It's quite. I mean, so what I'm saying is that who knows? At some point, he might be out. Like if this thing is not. This thing is not done properly in accordance to rule of law, but also more importantly, if this thing is allowed to be weaponized by nefarious forces, way worse forces, then actually at some point, who knows? Even impeachment against BBM, even a DDS move. I mean, what do you think about this whole Barzaga boy thing? I mean, is he just unhinged? No offense, I don't want to be mean if there's some serious issues there, but it's kind of like. I'm sorry, it's creepy almost. What's going on with that Barzaga boy?
Okay, so you brought up several issues, ano, sige, but let's just answer muna yung kay Kiko Barzaga. Honestly, he's a jester in this whole game, ano, and
Right.
I don't want to put too much attention on him kasi talagang that's a very empty, noisy can. That's all
Right.
it is. Not much substance behind it. But he's getting a lot of attention because of all his antics. And I don't think he deserves that attention. I don't think we should give him that attention because he's craving for attention. Kaya ako, I was thinking, gagawa ko ng video about this Kiko Barzaga, kung sino ba. Pero kung tinignan mo naman, just off the top pa lang, alam mo na ng political family to, mukhang nangurakot din yung kanyang mga magulang based on mga pinopost niya. Money. Remember, when you see kids of politicians or politicians with stacks of cash, okay, may nangyaring kalokohan yan because there is no reason for you to have stacks of millions and millions to billions of cash. Okay, unless may balak kang gawing masama. Normally, hindi normal yan. Okay, so this guy is off left field talaga in that
Yeah.
sense. So, he's trying to make noise. He's trying to embarrass the Congress. He's trying to embarrass the Senate. Binaban natin niya lahat ng tao. And the irony is this, mga Dutertes, the DDS trolls are embracing him. But then again, they always seem to embrace the crazy ones, don't they? So, with that one, I don't know much about him. And
So
what
what
he's
about
up
the
to.
speaker situation? Because I mean, you could logically argue, oh yeah, I mean, you cannot have all of these scandals and no change in leadership. You already saw the change in leadership in the Senate, right? And some would say definitely a good riddance. But the thing with Romales becomes a little bit complicated, right? Because he's the guy who has been Marcos' right hand man, first cousin, and some would say importantly. I mean, we don't have to go talk about the modus operandi in Congress. I mean, the guy made things work in a way that they were able to muster even votes to vote against Sara Duterte for the impeachment
Right.
trial, which many people thought is impossible. Now, I'm not saying let's just forget everything that has gone wrong in our politics. I'm just saying if you're Marcos and there's someone who so effectively was able to mobilize the votes, keep the House under control. I mean, alam natin, Kongreso, magulo yan. I mean, during Duterte's time, there was a coup right before his, third or fourth zona between Pantaleon Alvarez and Arroyo. And then later on with the other Karen, what's his name? Si Boy Caldero. Yan, kilala niya si Caldero King. Yan, nanggulo na naman yan dun sa term sharing. So, from a purely political standpoint, I'm not sure it's a good look on BBM that somehow naging fall guy si Romualdez. In as much as you can also make a legitimate argument that yeah, there has to be kasi parang ganun eh. Okay, if that's your argument, why shouldn't the leadership change extend to the executive? Leadership change
Okay.
Senate, leadership change Congress, o di what not logically what's next is leadership change executive because let's not forget DPWH is the one implementing all of this. hindi taga-kongreso, etong mga contractors, etong mga engineers and all. Do you get what I'm saying? So if you're BBM, this is getting a bit too close to home.
Okay, so there are several things that I wanted to point out. Ano. Number one, remember that the changes in leadership is not in a vacuum. That was actually, behind the scenes, that was the move that the executive department did, in particular Malacanang. So yung pagpalit sa Senate President, yung kuna ginawa ni Tito Soto, that's definitely endorsed by Malacanang. With regards to the Congress, ganun din yun. Yung pagpalit kay Romualdez, that's definitely with Malacanang's blessing. So, and
That one was
to that,
transparent, bro. Like, it's like Romualdez is gonna meet BBM and Romualdez is gonna resign. That's pretty transparent. Unlike the Senate one, may plausible deniability pa.
yeah, right. But at the same time, kaya hindi ko nakikita na like parang something can happen to the executive branch, to the president when it comes to changing of the leadership, parang gano'n. Like, because everything is happening favoring BBM if you think about it. In the Senate right now with the blue ribbon, Tito Soto and Ping Lacson is like Batman and Robin, dynamic duo yan. Galing. And with Congress naman, let's see. But think about si Boji D. House Speaker Boji D is kaalyado ni na BBM, okay? Same party.
Right.
And remember, he was practically second in command to Romualdez. So this guy is no stranger to politics. Remember, his family has been around for decades. He knows how this moves. He knows how to put people together. And they are the majority party at this point. So I think may mga major moves that can happen within Congress with that new leadership. I am giving this guy the benefit of the doubt, even though he is part of the political dynasty.
Well, you were not impressed with him, were you? Like you, I think your episode yesterday was slightly skeptical. I mean, what is your sense of this a scion of Norte Ilocano worlds, the dynasty in charge? Like, if you wanted the kind of a facelift or new rebranding to make Congress look good, this seems too much of an engineer
Okay.
transition because this guy is clearly part of Partido Federal, which is basically BBM's party.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Hindi nga talaga to ano eh. This is a facelift. That's all it is. This is just kumbaga resignation of the speaker, may kapalit ka that is similar to the speaker in many ways. Ganun lang 'yon. But having said that, I actually liked how Speaker Romualdez ran Congress. I was actually impressed at how he was able to unify Congress in a lot of major issues. Even the minority and even the independents were supportive of Romualdez's
Right.
speakership. So in that sense, you can expect that this is going to be a follow through from that without the baggage. Kasi
Right.
yun yung problema with Romualdez right now, with the baggage. But having said that, alam mo, remember that everything you've heard in the hearings, okay, there is the implication that Romualdez is kadamay dito. Pero there is no direct evidence that ever linked him to the flood
Yeah.
control issue. If we're just looking at it from the flood control issue, unlike Cesar Escudero, unlike all the other congressmen, okay, so that's the big difference. Zaldico is a big difference kumpara kay Romualdez kasi Zaldico may direct link ka nakita with SunWest and his other Hightone and his other corporations, and even yung anak niya dinedate yung isang si Senator Ruiz, si Lubiano. So iba yun eh. But with Romualdez, you don't see any direct links. You only hear hearsay from the Discayas with no direct proof, and even they don't even want to say
And
with
Discaya
certainty.
when it was during hearing controlled by the DDS, right? Which
Right.
tells you, yeah.
Yeah. So kaya sa akin, it was a good move at may delikadesa naman to just step down from Romualdez. Can you imagine, ito, nobody asked him to resign yet, but he did it out of delikadesa and maybe to be less of a burden to the administration of BBM. Kudos to that, respect to that. Unlike other people na may direct link kasi hindi pa makapag-resign, tulad ng ating Vice President, di ba? Kitang-kita na lahat ng mga kalokohan, and yet he doesn't have the grace or the humility to resign. Pero Romualdez did that. So I give Romualdez a lot of credit for that. And by the way, I'm not a fan of him, okay? I still think may mga problems with Romualdez, but I'm just saying what he did earned my respect.
You mean kasama dyan is overseeing all the quad counts last year that exposed Sara
Yes.
Duterte and all of the kalokohan that the previous admin did, right?
Yeah, and add to that, Richard, that hindi siya yung parang hands-on na yung parang monkey on your back type of a leader na palagi nakatingin. He
Yeah.
lets the different departments, the different committees do their job. And
Lahat
that's what's good
happy.
about how he does it.
Lahat happy yung ganyan na approach na. Actually, you're right. In a way, he was not the overbear. Again, I find it fascinating that you have the DDS script saying, oh, ba't tahimik kayo? Sayang ganito, Romualdez, ganyan, 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 ganyan. Like, you really want to talk about your candidates for the speaker? You want to talk about Arroyo? You want to talk about Barzag if that guy is really serious for you? I mean, not serious to us, but mukhang some DDS take him seriously after all of these videos surfacing of Digong greeting him. I hope you will be a great politician yet, like your father. Talaga makikita mo talaga ibang klase rin yung standard ng mga DDS, no? But okay, now let's go back to dito sa issue na yun, bro. Etong Diskaya diehard supporters who have been attacking Vico Soto like crazy. I mean, the most insane political move I've seen. So, like, Vico Soto is the darling of the nation. Sterling ang kanyang integrity by every... And more importantly, Vico is palaban now. He's almost as balahura as us. I mean, the guy is fighting back. Nagko-comment sa comment section. Patola na siya, di ba? So, isn't that a crazy move for the DDS to do this guy die hard moves? I mean, defending this guy, attacking Vico. Is this unhinged, or you think they think they're so powerful? And this is my concern. Like, maybe they're smelling blood. Torre out, Romualdez out, diba? So baka we can take out the other people or scare other people are trying to expose us. And it's always nice to have very rich people like this guy on your side. I mean, what's going on here?
Pero alam mo for me, tingin ko talaga, the DDS trolls, they just have to follow the script. And they're grasping at straws more than anything. It's not that they're gaining strength, it's more of grasping at straws. And remember, they will take anything they can get to be able to garner any kind of support. Kung may
Right.
mabola sila on social media, kahit sino, they will actually, remember, they will lie, outright lie, para lang makakuha ng kahit sino mabobola nila to believe what they're saying. For example, I'll give you an example of how they outright lie. In other words, fake news. Yung sasabihin nila na, o kayong mga Pinklawan or Dilawan, bakit hindi nyo like you said, hindi kayo makapagsalita on flood control against Romualdez, against Zaldico. Are you deaf or blind, or you're just lying? Alam mo naman that we're talking about this, and
Right.
yet you're claiming that we don't talk about this. And yet you're claiming we're keeping silent. So that's what I mean by they're outright lying. They're grasping at whatever they can para lang magkaroon ng disinformation, ma-overall man tao with all this different news to make it look like they're still in control of the narrative. They're losing control of the narrative. And they've been trying. And now they're using Kiko Barzaga as parang a poster boy against Vico Soto, or the disguise against Vico Soto. Okay, mga Duterte supporters na hindi troll na nanonood ngayon. Nakikita na nyo kung anong ginagawa ng mga trolls sa inyo kasi tingin po nila, remember, tingin ng mga trolls sa inyo, mga supporters ni Duterte ay mangmang kayo. Mismo, sila Duterte sinabi nila, mangmang po kayo, kaya kayong utuin. At yan ang ginagawa ng mga trolls nila. You are all pawns in this game. They're using you to gain strength, and that's where the difference is. Okay? So that's why kailangan talaga magkaroon ng critical thinking
Well, I mean, critical thinking. Good luck with that. I mean, I'm seeing so much craziness around the world, just to the south of border when I was in Canada, among others. But no, I want to again. So many people are saying, hindi kaya maybe it's a situation. It probably is not as bad. I mean, you can look at Amy Marcos having the audacity to hold the crocodile and sell crocodile leather bag, whatever you want to call it, on Shopee. Like, wait, coming from, like, but you could see the glee. You could see the Schadenfreude, diba? Sara Duterte is having great fun. She's even talking about her dad's love life. Apparently, Digong has time and energy for love life, but not enough lucidity to know his name and know the facts and reality to stand trial in ICC. So I was supposed to be ICC this weekend. We had to cancel all our flights and everything like that because suddenly may naniwala pala kay Digong. Sana hindi mabudol yung ICC. Pero thanks to Sara, no? Alam natin, Digong has enough lucidity and time and energy to have a love life. So, again, some people will wonder, like, okay, maybe some cleanup, some adjustments, but there must be a reason why there's a glee. There's a schadenfreude on the part of Amy Marcos, and this yabang na naman on the part of Sara Duterte. This suave.
Yeah, Richard, I remember that Sara Duterte has been under attack for over a year. Okay?
Right.
So she is absolutely enjoying the fact na natanggal na yung
Yeah,
attention sa kanya.
exactly. Exactly.
Okay, now and plus remember, may galit yan kay Zaldico. Because for the people that don't know, by the way,
Right.
remember that Zaldico was actually allied with the Dutertes during Duterte's time. They were very close allies, okay? That he benefited from the Dutertes, and that's why tingin ko galit na galit si Sara Duterte kay Zaldico kasi hindi na sila nagkasundo. Zaldico decided to side with the Marcoses in this one, and then siguro may hindi si Sara Duterte hindi niya nakuha, and then in-out niya si Zaldico. Remember the
Right.
first time, bumanat siya na
Right.
yan ang mga corrupt si Zaldico, trying to divert attention away from her. And finally, BBM agreed and said, oh sige, let's put attention to this. Let's shine the light on this one. So may mga plays happening in the back, and I don't know what's happening, but there are shifts. So I'm gonna show you the two shifts na nakita ko. Number one, with BBM, parang did he do this to take attention away from Sara Duterte? And is there a softening of the stance
Right.
against Sara Duterte? We don't know. We don't know what Boji D is going to do as a new House Speaker with regards to the Dutertes, number one. Number two, pag tinignan mo what's happening right now with even the DOJ, di ba? And with the ombudsman, with Amy Marcos, there are a lot of things, there are a lot of moving parts. And then you look at the trolls. Jam Magno just recently came out with a video saying that Sara Duterte would be a disaster as a president. It's an insane video. Jam Magno is as DDS as you get. And now she's saying, I don't want Sara Duterte to be president. I'm willing to digong,
Hindi.
pero
I just
Sara
have a
Duterte-
question. Anong say niya kay Bongo?
Yeah, so she did not bring up Bongo in a negative.
Wala akong sinasabi Wala akong sinasabi. I'm just saying, like...
But yeah, your guess is as good as mine. But definitely something's happening on the Duterte camp as well. I don't know if it's strictly the Duterte camp or was there an influence from the BBM camp on this one, o kaya even the INC. So there are a lot of moving parts here
Right.
that are happening that we are not aware of. That's why if you watch all the movements, magtataka kayo, parang movements are not making sense. They're not completely coherent, but maybe that's meant to be that way.
But maybe it's
To
also a
confuse us.
natural fragmentation. I mean, like a lot of people are scared, but there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of blood in the water. Usually, when that happens, ambitions come up. Audacious. I mean, the whole Barzaga. I mean, the whole this clown show. To be honest, for me, it's just an exaggerated reflection of all the kind of conflicting emotions, right? Sitting below the surface. I'm sure behind the scenes, you talk to different congressman, senator, ganun. Some are scared. Some are seeing a blood and opening. I mean, we just heard the news of a counter coup attempt. Just,
Yes.
it's like, kakakulang, may counter coup na, ano to, French Revolution?
Yeah.
Wala pang 3 araw, may bago na. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's getting wild. I'm saying, it's getting very wild. And does BBM have a strategy? Because it's getting very wild. You have ex-generals openly saying that maybe the military has to step in and do the flood control. You have some people agitating for RevGov now already. Sara Duterte, interestingly, giving speech to the reservist folks in the military and telling them, protect democracy and human rights, which not only sounds the height of hypocrisy, it sounds actually quite troubling. Like, why would you tell military reservist people to protect democracy unless you think something is super wrong? And having heard your father not long ago saying dapat mag-correct yung mistakes and, you get what I'm saying? Like, that, because basically your argument a while ago was maraming power si BBM diba? He helped Soto to take out Cheese. He basically told Romualdez to step down and engineered the rise of D to come into power. I mean, no one even knew about this D guy. We know the D family, but not this Faustino guy, right? So, if BBM is so powerful, well, I suppose he should have some strategy to how to use that power, which makes me wonder, maybe there's power but not strategy. I mean, you get what I'm saying? Or lack of anticipation.
Okay, I want to actually give him a little bit more credit than what you mentioned, Kasi even though publicly nakikita natin na parang, does he know what he's doing or does he not know what he's doing? Remember that what happened in the Senate this was all part of the strategy, what they did. The coup that they did to get rid of Chis Escudero was all strategic. The move to take out, to have Speaker Romualdez resign is strategic. These are powerful moves. These are strong, kumbaga kung chess pieces to, these are strong chess moves. So I actually think we're not giving him enough credit. Remember, he did bring Duterte to the ICC. He did arrest Kibuloy. And he is after the Isabong people, which people are conveniently forgetting about. Sana hindi. Pero that's what I'm saying na we might not be giving him enough credit, and maybe remember that he's always idolized Machiavelli. He's
Again,
always said that he's
I
very
disagree with
Machiavellian.
that. You know, in what sense? Like the cheese one is after the expose. Okay, so what I see here is not irrationality or stupidity. Just to be clear, when I say is there a strategy, I wonder sometimes if it's more tactical, reactive. Like the cheese one, right?
Ah,
Remember the cheese one happened after yung na-expose si cheese dun sa donors. So
yep.
that's where there was really an opening. I mean, it was just a matter of time before cheese fall down. And some would argue, and this is what we discussed earlier, Soto already had the numbers even before the SONA to take over. And the only reason some argued she stayed there is because Marcos said, ayoko ng gulo, let the guy stay there. Kay Romualdez din, like, I mean, again, it's because this flood control scandal is getting so much out of control and things, and, Mark Oleta and the ilk got so much airtime to basically push whatever narrative they wanted. It became impossible for BBM not to try to find some sort of fall guy or push for some. So, I would argue that's more tactical, reactive than strategic. Do you get what
Okay,
I'm saying? So yeah, that's what I'm saying.
no,
Like, it's not about giving credit or not. Of course, we'll give credit on some issues. I always give credit when credit is due, whether I like you or not. But I'm looking at the circumstance. This sounds more tactical, reactive to me.
okay, so here's the reason why I don't believe it's actually just reactive. Ano? Remember that the issue with Chis Escudero was brought up, and even Chis would say it. This was paninira to, pamumulitika to. Somebody released this information. So if you think about it, yes, I believe somebody did release that information. But more importantly, was the information true or not? Kumbaga, kung may bala kang gagawin sa reputasyon ng isang tao, maghahanap ka ng baho niya. Unfortunately for Cheese, he did not think ahead.
Yeah.
Be acting with impunity. He didn't think that, oh, somebody's going to look at my donors. Blatantly bring in a contractor who
Right.
supplies. He is the biggest contractor for his own district, and allow him to give you 30 million in campaign contributions, and then that contractor suddenly gets over 45 or 50 projects and get 5.1 billion pesos in projects after he wins. So he did something, and unfortunately the people that know about it suddenly decided, well, you haven't been acting in our favor, so we release the information. So yun eh. So this is literally real life Game of Thrones happening here. And that's why I'm saying it's not completely reactive because of that. Because that information we would not have known about until it was released. Whoever released it, we don't know. But definitely it was very intentional.
So what is the interest of Malacanang? Because if BBM really wanted the impeachment to happen, he could have done something to cheese noon pa. Because this information about the COMELEC was always there. The COMELEC and the information about top contractors was always there. So again, I'm yet to be convinced. Like, was Marcos even clear about what was his interest when it comes to cheese presidency in the Senate? Like, let's assume it's the Malacanang was behind cheese ascension. But what was Malacanang doing that served the interest of BBM? Because again, from my reading of what I know, BBM was led to believe falsely that by blocking the impeachment, he's avoiding basically an embarrassing situation that could actually turn Duterte into martyr. And my sense is that was an absolutely wrong analysis, self-serving for him because he could keep the DDS voters, but totally disastrous for everyone else, including the Malacanang. And then later on, you could see even BBM warmed up to the idea of impeachment, but by this time, Cheese already did the damage. So that's why it's reactive because like, okay, nagets ni BBM, o nga pala you didn't really need the numbers to impeach her here. You just needed a trial for people to see what is the truth. And maybe that would be good enough. Do you get what I'm saying? So, again, we're not saying the guy is, it's not 0 to 10, right? I'm just saying
Yep.
it's more towards 5 than towards 8. You know what I'm saying? Like I see some reactiveness there because what I agree with you is what we have realized in recent days is how powerful the president still is apparent. So one thing we can agree is that he's not a lame duck, right? If he were a lame duck, Soto would not be there. If he
Yep.
were a lame duck, definitely Martin did not have any reason to step down. He should, kasi let's be clear, Martin is vulnerable now, right? If you're Romualdez now, you're number 2 or 3, if not number 1 enemy of the Dutertes. Maybe next to Torre and Liza Araneta. You know what I'm saying? So it must have been, the president must have had some power to convince and maybe assure Martin Romualdez of protection. Because they're gonna go after. You think Martin resigns? That's the end of story? No, the enemies will go after him legally, otherwise, right? So you're right. Marcos apparently has power. So what we can agree on is he's not a lame duck. I think the only issue is that is he more reactive, tactical, or he's more anticipatory, and that's where probably I'm more skeptical. Not Ronald Llamas level of dismissive. Si Ronald medyo mean siya. No, I'm not like that. I'm trying to be fair to the guy. I think on foreign policy is quite smart and anticipative. But on domestic issue, I don't know, bro. From what I know, I think he's a bit more reactive than he should be at least.
Right. Maybe he's looking at it from a different lens. So yun lang yun. So
Sure.
something the rose-colored lens that maybe we're not seeing. But I wanted to add that on BBM's part that kaya nakikita ko that he's making a lot of power moves is because remember he put Vince Dizon into the DPWH,
Right.
and Vince Dizon has just slashed 255 billion pesos from the DPWH, and he's not done. From the way it looks, he could be slashing quite a bit more. Even to the behest of the Congress, members of Congress na nagwawala. Sino ba yung nagalit ngayon na isang kongresista na tinanggalan daw ng pera yung parang bypass road that they were building. Pero then again, wait a minute, is there a road or is there not a road right now? Diba? And he was so upset about it. So the Vince Dizon chess move is brilliant. And if Vince Dizon can clean up the DPWH, and so far, marami na siyang naparesign, marami na siyang kakasuhan, at na-slash pa niya ng budget ng 255 billion. That's a significant amount. And if BBM puts that 255 billion to something more significant, healthcare, education, something for the workers, something for our seniors, something for our single parents, something for sa kabataan, that could spell great numbers for BBM moving to 2028.
Which I think that's his game plan. I think that's absolutely his game plan, his understanding of his game plan. So in terms of what BBM, how he sees it and what he wants, I completely agree with you. I think that's really how he sees it. Now, going back to the issue here, how you see Joel Villanueva and Jinggoy, ligtas na ba sila? Kasi Joel Villanueva was insisting on the program version of the budget, and all it took is, well, we can look at the unprogrammed items if you want, which is where. And then with Jinggoy, I'm not sure did he really help his case.
So,
Yung lalo yung sinabi niya, ako kasi dahil sa history ko, may walang tao. Pag si Risa pa, may maniwala rin. Like, I'm not sure where you're taking this argument. Like, nakakatakot tong argument mo, pare.
Alam mo, to begin with, it is nakakadiri siguro manood ng Senate hearing na nakikita mo yung akusado, siya pa yung nag-i-interpolate ng resource person natin. Parang there's something, optically wrong with seeing that scene with Joel Villanueva and Jinggoy Estrada going on the attack when they're the ones that are being accused.
Right.
Okay? There's something really wrong with that. Having said that, I am glad that Lacson is very calm and he tries to be as balanced as he can, and then he would say nga na Jinggoy, you're not out of the woods yet because kitang-kita na meron ng line items for the ones that binanggit ni Bryce na eksakto sa sinabi niyang amount. The problem lang with Bryce, and this is where Jinggoy can really pounce on him, is that he hasn't been forthcoming with a lot of information, especially about him.
Baka he wants to stay alive. He clearly wants to stay alive. I mean,
Yeah, sure. Pero he was trying to save his skin, si Bryce nung tinanong sa kanya about yung fake driver's license na ibang pangalan, tapos sinasabi hindi daw niya alam na meron daw fake driver's license. Tapos tinanong siya at sinabi, teka lang, di ba ginamit, paano ka nakapasok ng Soler ba yun o Okada? Soler. And he goes, may membership card. Ano nakalagay na pangalan sa membership card? Ayun nga, yung pareho nga doon sa driver's license, si Mark. And he goes, oh, so alam mo pala na yun yung ginagamit ng pangalan. Oh, pero hindi ko alam may driver's license. Eh, paano ka nakakuha ng membership card? Di, kinuha lang para sa akin. Kaya nga ginagamit mo. So, parang you're making us sound like idiots. Treating us like we're stupid. Pwede ba? Kaya na-contempt ka si Bryce dahil doon eh. So, yun yung
Nakulong na
problema.
yata, oh.
Oh, yeah, and well, na-contempt na nga before, na-contempt na ulit. So yun ang problema ni Bryce as a resource person. He has to really just all out na. Jinggoy naman, I have to say ito and there, people watching we talked about this, Richard eh. Jinggoy has said that he is willing to sign a bank waiver. I hope they actually let him sign that bank waiver. And he's willing to show his talent. Sure. But again, remember, Jinggoy is a very seasoned operator when it comes to corruption. He's been doing it for decades. How seasoned is he? For example, yung kinuwento ko sa'yo, how does corruption happen? And this is, trust me, this information this is verified and I have first-hand knowledge on this one. What you do is, first, Jinggoy will never talk to you about money. That's why lakas ang loob niya sabihin kay Bryce, kinausap kita about pera. Because Jinggoy will never be the one to talk about money. There will always be a middleman.
Yeah.
In this case, could be a middlewoman. Could have been Beng Ramos nga. And then sabihin lang, I'm speaking on behalf of Jinggoy. Again, plausible deniability, di ba? Tapos, sasabihin ni Beng Ramos, for example, sige, dalhin mo yung pera, for example, dito sa lugar na to. Dala mo yung pera, and Jinggoy's not gonna be there.
Yeah.
Neither will Ben be there. Nobody is gonna be there. It's gonna be an empty room, one table, walang tao doon sa loob. Dala-dala mo yung bag, kahit yung mga gwardiya o yung mga tao, mga staff na nagpapasok sa'yo, don't even see what's inside your bag or box sa dami ng pera. You bring it into the room, iiwan mo yung pera doon in a box or in a sealed box or bag. And then you walk away. Plausible deniability because at any time, Jinggoy can say, kinuha ko ba yung pera sa'yo? Binigay mo ba sa'yo? Hindi. Exactly. Did I ever talk to you about money? No. Kaya, walang trace. That's how smooth all these corrupt politicians are. And Jinggoy is one of the smoothest when it comes to being corrupt politicians, number one. Number two, okay, ito na yung pangalawa, Richard. Kaya lakas sa loob ni Jinggoy sabihin buksan ng bank account. Remember, majority of corruption does not happen within the banking
Off the books
system.
off the books, yeah.
Yes, it's all cash. Kaya nga, ginagamit nila cash. Kaya nga, hindi nila dinedeposit sa bangko kasi pag dineposit nila yan sa bangko, ang tanong, sir, saan po nyo nakuha ang ilang 100, 200 million na dinedeposit mo ngayong araw na to? Eh, sweldo mo lang sa senator is 250,000 pesos. Bakit na nagde-deposit ng 30, 40, 50 million? Remember, 30% of 300 million is 90 million pesos. Oh, you have a lot of explaining to do. So what do people like Jinggoy do? What do all these dirty politicians do? They buy a condo. So they have 90 million, they buy a condo for 5 million. Sabihin natin 20 million in BGC. At 30 million condo in BGC. 30 million condo in BGC, yung 60 million, ipapark nila doon. Yun ang tenant nung kanilang 30 million condo, yung 60 million na cash. Yan ang ginagamit nilang vaults ngayon. And that's how they launder money. And that's why they're outside of the banking system. Kaya ang lakas ng loob nila sa titignan mo yung bangko. And add ko pa to, ito pa, isa pa. Sa money laundering, we were talking about this. Remember when the last time na naputol yung conversation natin. Remember that even if you look at yung mga like family members,
Right.
wife, brother, sister, nephew, niece, all you can do that. But remember, there's the kabit factor. Maraming kabit that has no connection to Jinggoy.
Business partner.
Yeah, sure, di ba?
Wait, kabit na? Wait, never mind. Baka the conversation might take an interest. Rewind. Yes, you were saying.
But you see what I'm saying, ha? Kasi it's easy if you have a kabit, male or female, okay, that has no business with you, and pinangalan mo sa kanya yung kondo. Oh.
Yun lang.
Aamin ba to? Na sa'yo yan o hindi? Hindi yan aamin.
Baka love
Kasi
yan,
kung
love.
umamin yan, mabubuking nakabit yan. Ganon. Everyone wants to feel like they earned the condo, that luxury condo, or that sports car that they're driving. Kaya hindi sila amin na may nagpondo sa kanila ng corrupt na politician, di ba? Kasi masisira yung imahe nila eh. Yun. Kaya perfect ang kabit sa money laundering.
Oh, nga. Robs to riches? Talagang robs to riches. Ibang rob. May masahe. before we say something we might regret, kaya we'll have Sir Ronald separately to compromise. I'm kidding. Pag si Sir Ronald tanong ko, gusto mo ba talaga sagutin ko yan, Richard? Hindi po. Sabi ko.
Wag na, wag na.
Wag na. But, okay, dito sa latter part ng discussion natin, I wanna go about the whole what's happening in the DPWH. How do you see Vince Dizon handling this thing? Because he must be in a tough spot. I mean, Enora Yusek was relieved recently, courtesy
Yeah.
resignation. Criminal charges are being filed as we speak. But again, all of this happened under Marcos' watch, right? It's like again, the more he exposes how bad things are inside DPWH, I mean, of course, Marcos can always play the digong thing. Na hindi niya alam, he was not informed, he's an innocent, symbolic leader. I mean, but you see how tricky this can get, no?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why the public relations is very important. How they do the messaging. Now, one of the key messages I've been seeing, and mismo kasi naman, it makes sense. For me, sinabi ko nga that think about it. If Marcos of BBM was really behind all of this mess in DPWH, then
Yeah.
why is he the one actually exposing it? Yun lang. Bottom line, when Duterte did not do anything to really go after all the corruption in DPWH. Tao niya si Mark Villar. Mark Villar is not out of the woods. He's trying to keep quiet, which is the smart thing to do para makalimutan ng tao that he's actually the secretary during 2016 to 2022.
But he is a quiet guy. Have you heard any committee hearings by him in the past 4 years? Like, I don't even know how it sounds. He's just
You're right, actually.
he's just a quiet guy.
He is a chair of, if I remember correctly, banking and finance at one point. Yeah, you're right. And he's always been quiet, never had a hearing.
So,
In fairness naman to Mark, for me, I actually known Mark since before politics and comes across me like a nice guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I don't think he's doing shady stuff. But that's what I'm trying to say to people. Hindi dahil mabait, hindi ibig sabihin may ginagawang tama. Okay? Sometimes, how many people tell me, ang bait naman ni Digong eh. They meet Digong for the first time. He's so
Right.
charming. Yeah, he doesn't mean he doesn't kill people. Okay? Even the worst gangster is the most charming guy you could
well,
ever see.
psychopaths are very nice. Psychopaths are nice people. It's
Yes,
just basic
magaling sila.
psychological reality. Yeah.
Oo, so yun lang yun. By the way, Richard, gusto ko din dagdag yung issue with Joel Villanueva. Joel was so funny the way he does his theatrics. He's always about theatrics eh. Kanina, yung mga sinuswing niya yung table, di ba? And then kanina, ginawa niya. Sinabi niya una.
Ano naman ang music, soundtrack ilalagay ng tao? May paper pa siya.
Kanina pinakita niya, di ba, Bryce Hernandez showed his taking a photo of the screen of the phone with the messages. And then he actually showed how easy it was to change the name on the phone and type out a message and make it look like it came from somebody. As much as that looked great, optics-wise, panalo siya dyan. Created doubt in the minds of the viewers.
Yeah.
Now, kung ako ang nasa Senate, Blue Ribbon Committee, if I was Lacson, I would tell Bryce, sign a waiver to release the data from Globe or Smart, whoever your carrier is, for all the text messages or for
madali lang gawin yan.
Alcantara's phone. Okay? Could it be a burner phone? Whatever. Kailangan ipakita yun and kailangan nila tingnan yung informasyon, yung actual text messages and even the call logs from the phone, where it came from. That is a damning evidence that cannot be manipulated, number one. Number two, ginawa ni Joel Villanueva, pinakita niya nga yung GA, di ba? O, tignan mo itong GA. I want him to tell me where in the GA.
Binasa niya daw lahat, ha? Binasa niya lahat, buong buo.
Wala daw. Pero yun na nga, like you mentioned. Kasi apparently, and again, I may be mistaken with this, that the 600 plus million came from the unappropriated, unprogrammed funds. Kaya wala sa GA. The part that really freaks me out is, hindi dapat ginagalaw yun. Unless there is a corresponding revenue that you can take the money from and yet naggalaw. And that's not just with Joel Villanueva. I think it happened with a lot of people, including Cheese Escudero. That's the scary part. These unprogrammed funds should not even be touched. By touching it is an illegal move. And that is criminal.
Absolutely. Last part, I want to go here. So what are we expecting in terms of Sorry, medyo under the weather ako, so I'm putting more pressure on you. So thank you so much, bro, for carrying it for it. I'm sure people appreciate me being less dal this time. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention our the infrastructure, the Independent Commission on Infrastructure. What are your thoughts on that? Because
Okay.
Mayor
So,
Magalong was he's not a member; he's an advisor,
right.
special consultant. So, and one justice turned it down, another justice made it absolutely clear to me they were not invited to begin with, kaya nagtataka sila why their name was even there. So, parang doon pa lang medyo maraming tumaas ang kilay na parang ano ba talaga, who's invited, who's not, who's in.
Okay, Richard, with the ICI, that independent commission that they put together. Um, everyone is a little bit skeptical of Magalong. I am skeptical of him. I know that you're more forgiving than I am, and even Mark.
No,
But at
but
the
for
same,
me, kasi bro, yeah, sorry for cutting you there.
please,
It's
please.
not about forgiving. It's like my point is that I think we should put pressure on people to do the right thing, whoever it is, good, bad, or ugly. But also, I think people forget Magalong and Lacson are very close friends. So if
Yep.
our understanding is Lacson is doing it right, I won't be surprised Magalong and Lacson will align in a sense that perhaps will make all of us a little bit more reassured, to put it nicely, right?
Sure.
Yun lang.
And
And yun lang. That's where I'm coming from. It's not about being nice or like his family friend kasi. Yung ganun. No, it's just, I think the Lacson element keeps on getting forgotten. Like he has been very transparent about the Bongo and Duterte debt of gratitude, which is refreshingly honest as much as I disagree with it. But in fairness, there's a Lacson element also.
true. Okay. So I want to also add another element to this, which is why again, I'm going to give people the benefit of the doubt. From the new speaker, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. Ako yung tipong ganito ang yung pananaw ko eh. Whatever you did in the past, sige, nagawa na, let's move on. What can you do in the future to redeem yourself? Yun na lang.
Yeah.
So for Magalong, ito yung nakikita kong angle dito. That may be shifting the tides. What we're talking about, is there a shift of the tides towards BBM away from Duterte? It's this. You look at the trolls, number one, Jam Magno, now moving away from Sara Duterte for 2028. Then you've got Kuya Tutning. Okay, Anthony Taberna. Now,
Oh, that was big. Yeah,
cutting
that was big.
places.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, towards the BBM and actually calling out Duterte for all the crap that happened. That's Tuning, who is sobrang DDS ng taong to.
Yeah.
Okay? My God, he is completely blinded at one point. Biglang nagising? I don't think so. There was direction that's been happening behind the scenes. And I think Magalong is also part of this whole movement now to say na, we gotta do this. Whatever the motive is, for me, if it's good for the country, I'm all supportive of it. And that's why I give him the benefit of the doubt that he's going to do the right thing. Plus, he's also only just an advisor. There are three members in that actual committee. He's just the advisor. The three will still be the ones to dictate what will happen. So they're the ones who are going to take the information he's going to give, and they're going to make their decision. Even though one of the justice, was it a former justice, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, Burnham Beperlas. She turned it down. Yeah.
No, but who was the other guy?
Justice
Reyes Memo?
Scarpio, he was never invited, which is weird why the media released it. I confirmed it.
There was one that I remember seeing that was, if you look at his history, parang mas pumapanig siya kay Duterte when it comes to matters. But at the same time, BBM again, by picking these people, he has the ultimate power to pick this commission. And yet he picked it like this. I mean, he would go against himself and he would be shooting himself in the foot. Or unless he's basically keeping his enemies close
Yeah,
or
then
friends
that's
close and enemies
Machiavelli,
close.
right? Co-optive. Like,
Absolutely. Because when you bring them on board, then suddenly you get them on your side. Look what happened to Claire Castro. Claire Castro was the biggest critic of BBM. But as soon as BBM said, hey, I like you, I like what you're doing, be my undersecretary, boom, Claire Castro shifted gear, bam, and now, bumabanat sa mga Duterte, di ba? So that's what I mean, that where I think Marcos is smart. All right?
well, he
And
learned from the Harry Roque appointment of Digong, right? It's like, once Harry Roque was appointed, like, human rights? What's that, diba?
you're right. Exactly.
Like,
Yeah, sure. But Duterte was so much more. I think BBM is so much more smoother when it comes to that. But yes, you're right. That is what Duterte did, and that worked perfectly for Duterte with
Teddy
Harry Roque.
Locsin, you gotta love these people. Teddy Locsin, Harry Roque.
Oh yeah,
Once they
Teddy
were there,
Locsin,
they
yeah.
became his attack dogs.
Yep. And he picked the most loudest, the loudest attack dogs you could pick, di ba? And not just that. For me, BBM, what he's doing, reaching out to all the vloggers and allowing the vloggers to still criticize it. Do what you want. Criticize me all you want. Oh,
But it's not just that, bro. So kanina I was with Stephen Consonjeng, right? It was like,
oh
again, a
yeah.
top analyst, expert and all. So now he's on the board of Maharlika Fund, right?
All right.
After attacking Maharlika Fund year after year after year. So, yeah, that's where probably they're smooth, right? You are a critic, you happen to have credibility. Actually, you may even have good ideas. Why not come and help us make this work? I mean, that's quite a smooth. On that level, I'll give it because even with actually with the Aquino administration, parang I saw a lot of prickliness. You say something, they don't like it. Sometimes the president calls 40 minutes, like, no offense. But, kaya nga sabi ko kay Ronald, buti hindi tayo nagpatulan nun. Baka AK-47 mo ako nun, di ba? But
I,
Ronald is the only cool guy, I remember, from that admin.
Richard, actually, ganda nung bring up mo na to, no, na that's, I think, the difference kasi sometimes I find with, the pinks or the dilawans is sobra silang hardline critical of everything.
Right.
There is no middle ground. There is
Yeah.
no, sige, maybe let's go a little bit soft. It's, man, you are on
Bro,
sobrang
Santo, ano ka ba,
polarized.
bro? They're sinless. They're perfect. They're amazing. They're
Yeah,
wonderful. They're beautiful.
yeah, but having said that, okay, here's the difference now. The messaging is working, Richard. Where we keep calling for Team Philippines.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what side. I am seeing it on social media. The messaging we've been coming out with is starting to work. Ngayon, whether you're supporting BBM, you're Pink, you're Dilaw, you're Duterte, it's all coming together.
Right.
Remember, when I talk about Duterte supporters, I'm not talking about DDS trolls. I'm talking about yung lehitimong mga sumusuporta at
Right.
nagmamahal kay Duterte na nagigising at nare-realize sila, oo nga naman, kahit okay ako kay Duterte, medyo nagkamali nga sila dito at kailangan din makita to. I have been getting messages from Duterte supporters actually telling me that. So I see that the messaging is, paulit-ulit lang, we keep saying, guys, we're just on the side of the Philippines, not on BBM side, not on the pink side, we're not on Duterte side. It's just Pilipinas tingnan natin. Kasi kung ginamit natin yan na ating parang North Star ang Pilipinas, you can't go wrong eh. If you look at the Constitution and say, basta protektahan natin Constitution, you can't go wrong. And that's where we should all be at. We take out the personalities, anyone against the Constitution, anyone against the Philippines, anyone against the people are against us. Yun. Kaya itong flood control is unifying everyone. Having said that, Richard, ito ang kinatatakutan ko nga. On September 21, yung rally nga, di ba? The retired military personnel that are loyal to Duterte are going to try to
Uy,
take advantage of
pro-Philippines
this.
din sila. They're also pro-Philippines and all.
Yeah, yun, exactly. Yung packaging it as pro-Philippines. I am seeing some of the more subtle trolls in social media saying pro-Philippines tayo, pero you can see that the call is skewed towards trying to upend the current administration and put Sara in power. And the retired military people are also talking that way now. So let's be careful because this September 21 is not about trying to make BBM resign or even trying to oust him. That's not the purpose of this. It is an indignation of that absolute corruption that's been happening in all branches of government with all political colors. Kasama kayo dyan, mga Duterte, okay? Kaya huwag nilang kakalimutan yon. So yun lang yon. And again, this is in support of the ICI to get to the bottom of this. This is in support of the Senate to get to the bottom of this and to Congress and to put pressure on Congress and Senate na gawin nila na maayos ang investigasyon, walang sinasanto, let the chips fall where they may. In that case, if Jinggoy ends up in jail again, so be it. If Joel ends up in jail, so be it. If Zaldico ends up in jail, so be it. If Romualdez also ends up in jail, so be it. That's the point. Although, of course, I don't think it'll be completely perfect, but at least if they get the semblance of some justice that is acceptable to the people, then that could, satisfy the rage. That could, calm the waters and actually subside that yung baha na to na lumalala ngayon.
Yeah, I mean, again, absolutely. I think there are a lot of people who support Duterte because they thought Duterte, or they unfortunately still think Duterte was the agent of change, and that matters. You know why? Because I always said, even if Lenny had won in 2022, even if assuming natin 2016 pa lang someone good won, still the Congress, still the other branch would have been dominated by the same dynasties and all. So it's just a matter of how are you going to negotiate your way forward, right? So that's a reality. We always pay attention about who's the president, who's the vice president, but you have to look at how the majority of politicians are elected. And then you have to go deeper than that. Where are the politicians in need of corruption? Then you look at vote buying. Then when you look at vote buying, what is the COMELEC doing? And then when you go COMELEC, and then you wonder, okay, what is the ombudsman doing going in order to go after the corrupt people? What about, by the way, what is the Sandigan Bayan doing doon sa ill-gotten wealth issue? Oh, by the way, what about the courts? Do you get what I'm saying? So actually, always my advice is do not miss the forest for the trees. The
Yep.
trees are the high-profile politicians or some of these clowns who are taking advantage of it. But the forest is a big one. It's a dark forest. There are opportunist forces here. There are institutions, including judicial institutions, that you have to look at. And when I say judicial institution, it's not just a judiciary. Yeah, you look at ano ginagawa ng ombudsman, right? Ano ginagawa ng mga iba't ibang hindi lang mga korte, iba't ibang ahensya. Kanina lang I had an interview with Mendoza, Heidi Mendoza. We were talking about COA. How in COA, we may have to make sure COA itself doesn't get captured, di ba? Na-booking na yung isang asawa ng COA, contractor rin pala, di ba? So, ito po yung problema sa politika. If you really want to change things, you have to see the full forest. It's so easy to just stare at one tree and burn it down and thinking you have saved the forest or making things better. So that's why political analysis matters. That's why proper research matters. So critical thinking should come with the wisdom of looking at the big picture. Kaya mahirap talaga po maging responsableng analyst at mahirap po maging really effective and responsible active citizen. Kaya whatever we do here in dito sa platforms is do not expect by watching one vlog or one vlogger or one article, you know the lay of the land. I've read dozens of books just on Philippine politics lang, and I can still say this is still a work in progress. The forest is complicated. There are many parts to this. And at the same time, I hope that we are not just angry about corruption and we just don't vent out things because anger can get manipulated. It's very, very important. What we need also is sustained mobilization to keep the feet of all these politicians and also non-elected of officials close to the fire. And only then we'll have maybe some shot at long-term reform. Otherwise, tingnan mo si Atong Ang, ilan taon na siya nasa kontrobersiya. And then mawawala siya, magpapalamig siya, babalik siya, mag-date siya ng artista, distracted na naman tayo, tapos mabuking na naman siya, ganun. So I think Atong Ang's story, arc, just tells us what is the problem if you're just cyclical, if you're just anger-driven, if you just look at the tree but you miss the forest. Kaya po mahirap talaga ang tunay na pagbabago eh. Kaya ako believe ako sa mga bansa na nagkaroon ng kahit papano tunay na pagbabago. At alam ko lahat ng mga bansa na yan ay dumaan sa hirap. If you look at the history of labor movement and protest in South Korea, na hanggang ngayon nandyan pa rin, ang gulo. You look at even Sweden, how it transitioned from a kind of a backward agricultural monarchy to a more modern nation. Even failed democratic experiments like Russia, the kind of sacrifices Alexei Navalny and his antecedents had to do. All I'm saying to people is, please get rid of this illusion that you do one EDSA and everything will be fine. No, it has to be an everyday EDSA in different forms. You have to fight it in the Ombudsman office. You have to fight it in Sandigan Bayan. You have to fight it in media. You have to fight back against vloggers and bayaran ng disinformation agents. Kaya po, mahirap talaga ang tunay na pagbabago eh. But once you accept that mahirap siya, and then you realize that the alternative is you let a rotten status quo to worsen, from 10 billion pesos under Napoles to $10 billion right now, 50 times worse in more than a decade, then you realize actually we have no other choice but to stick to this and stick it through and try to save the whole forest beyond just shouting at a few trees. So thank you so much, bro, for really helping us to look at all of these angles. And ikaw, you're a great example of a active, patriotic Filipino who's doing everything in his powers get to know about every different things. And, starting with the hearing of Alice Go, we realize marami rin tricks up their sleeves na itong mga tarantado. Eh. Sorry, itong mga whatever, scalawags, whatever, menace to society these people are. So we have to be smart also and see through the nonsense. Mabuhay ka, bro. I would have loved to continue this discussion, but I think I need to get some rest. But that was 1 hour of solid, breezy discussion. Mabuhay ka, brother, and hope to see you in person soon. At ituloy natin itong discussion na to para marami na magagalit sa atin lalo. Salamat, brother. Looking forward.
Have a good night, At. Get some rest.
Same to you, brother. Talk to you soon.
Alright.
Thank you so much, guys. Pasensya na, medyo I'm not at my 100%. I didn't even have enough energy to put the proper lighting and all of that. Sorry na lang. But thanks to our very good friend, Chris, I think we got enough out there. So check out the full video right now on his page. And also, I'll upload a different version on my side. Separately, at dun sa mga DDS na iyak-iyak na naman, either tutab ba to, appreciated, or hater lang kayo, problema na yan, alright? Problema na yan. Hindi natin problema yan. So on that note, thank you so much for people appreciate our effort kahit puyat na, jet lag na, may sipon na. I'm still trying to do this. Also, abangan nyo yung interviews natin na upcoming with Heidi Mendoza and Stephen Consunjing. Some of the greatest guys out there, most amazing people out there. Among other interviews na ginagawa ko before I make a move again. Na-suspend yung ICC, so I'll be resting at this weekend from flying out again. But hopefully looking forward to covering the protest this weekend, and hopefully hindi na naman ito ma-hijack, at hopefully hindi lang ito hanggang ingay-ingay lang at walang mapupuntahan. Alright? Sana may mapuntahan para iyak na naman yung mga ka-DDS natin. Alright? On that note, thank you very much. God bless, and don't forget to continue to follow us, subscribe to us, and also be part of our little community on YouTube. As I promised, I will make sure before this end of the year, ayusin talaga natin yan, yung mga lecture series na I've been taping and all on the sides, unti-unti namin ibibigay sa inyo. So those who are exclusive members of our community on YouTube, you already have access dun sa talagang legendary Cool Pals interview natin together with Sir Ronald Llamas. So that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the perks for dun sa mga community members natin. So at the price of a single 3-in-1 coffee, not even a Starbucks coffee, you can be part of the little community. Alright? Maraming salamat, except dun sa mga trolls. But thank you so much for making our engagement so high. Mas malaki pa yata engagement natin sa mga news outlets. Ano? Thank you so much, guys. Maraming salamat. God bless. Hopefully bukas na lang we'll have Sir Ronald Llamas. Nag-ano na rin si Ronald. Alam mo naman, kagabi, nandun. Ganyan. So we'll do that. And also hopefully we'll have Justice Carpio also back, who mistakenly was thought to have been part of the independent commission on infrastructure, but still, I think he has great ideas about how we should get this right. All right? Thank you very much. God bless, and talk to you soon.